Hello everyone, my name is Sergey and today we're looking at my Christopher Watrd the Twelve. The journey started quite some time ago when, after 13 years of owning a very nice Revu Thomann, a Swiss watch, which I got when I joined a Swiss bank, and I wanted a Swiss watch, so I got a random, it was an absolutely random purchase, and as it turned out to be an absolutely great entry into Swiss watches. The reason being is that this Revo is a very rare and a very beautiful example of a pilot's watch. Now you can see that it's got a jet black dial with jet black matte hand coating, and really when you look at it, especially when it was new, you could barely tell the hands from the back of the dial. You couldn't see the crystal because it's coated from both sides, so literally the crystal is non-existent, and the date is a pointer date, so you don't have a date window on it, which is absolutely great. It's a beautiful watch, and it's such a great value for the money that I paid for it. It's unbelievable. So when someone after 13 years decided to take this watch off me as I was approaching my house, I fought the watch off, but they broke the bracelet. And since Revu Thomann no longer make watches, these bracelets are impossible to get hold of, I started looking for a new watch. And that brought me into the world of watches, which I never knew existed. To me, I'm a big fan of G-Shock watches. I rocked a Casio watch for many, many years, ever since my first watch was a Casio. And I'm a big fan of G-Shocks. I own multiple G-Shocks. And I guess the reason why I never quite entered the watch enthusiast world was because I had my G-Shocks, and all you need in your life is wait for the next moment when Casio release another G-Shock, and then you happily buy it. It's not very expensive and it solves a lot of problems for you. They're great watches. And with the G-Shock, you also you're above the issue of having to have an expensive watch or show your wealth with that watch. It just doesn't matter. So when Revu was taken off its bracelet, I tried wearing it on the strap, and what it revealed, that back when I had it on the bracelet, I felt like I could jump in a swimming pool with it. I could live my life without having to think of the watch that much. Now, it also created this duality in me that it is the first time I wore a watch on a leather bracelet, and it made me realize that actually it makes it so much lighter, and it's a completely different feel to a watch when you have it on a bracelet. It is much dressier. It just fits so much more for the evenings. It's much kinder on the hand. First, I remember it actually sticks to your skin, the leather bracelet, and it's a really weird feeling if you never wore a watch on a strap. So I did wear G-Shocks, and G-Shocks come on rubber straps or whatever, the compound straps. But this is different. This is really, it becomes one with your skin, and there's this kind of weird feeling that you get to start with. But that made me realize that actually maybe I want to try and buy that one watch. Now I know, and I watched a bunch of videos, I know that there's this whole this whole Pandora box of finding that one grail watch, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to spend too much of my life looking for it, but it needs to be a watch and a bracelet. Finding a pilot watch and a bracelet is problematic. I mean, of course, you can get your IWC Mark 20 on a bracelet, but getting like a round watch to look good on a bracelet is a challenge. And I think this is why they designed, or Genta designed, integrated bracelet sports watches, is to blend the case of the watch with the bracelet better. And it made sense to me. So I started looking, I found the Royal Oak. Hey, I'm agnostic to the Royal Oak. I do not aspire to buy it. I think it's a beautiful design. I love it. I guess I love the Mercedes-Benz Geländewagen very much. It's the most beautiful vehicle in my books. and maybe I'll get it one day. If anything, like it's probably the only vehicle I actually want to own. Everything else is a compromise. So I have a car, but I just have a car that does a purpose. It has certain requirements and use cases that it needs to fulfill, and that's about it. But if I'm to buy a car for myself, like to actually just for the enjoyment of it, that will be the G-Wagon. Now with watches, if I were to buy another watch for myself, and that's what I tried to do, it would be a pilot's watch. But getting a pilot, I've realized that actually a pilot watch should come on a leather strap. So, going to IWC, getting Mark 20, it's quite expensive as well. And I was like, well, this Revo costs a fraction of what the Mark 20 costs. And it's just as good, if not better. And in fact, I think that design-wise, this is an absolutely unique pilot's watch. Just look at this. That was around the time when IWC released the Engineer, and I was like, I quite like it. I didn't like the bezel too much, but I did like the concept. It's a kind of a skinny watch, minimal functions, integrated bracelet, and it comes in titanium. The only problem that it costs 14,000 US. Yeah. And I looked at it and I was like, am I willing to spend 14,000 on an integrated bracelet sports watch with a bog standard caliber, which is basically a Richemont caliber you get in all sorts of other watches like the Mark 20, which costs what, 5,000, which is basically the same watch. But I wanted to try titanium. Once I discovered the integrated sports watches, I was like, okay, that's something that I want to come in titanium and be as light as possible. So it brings us to our Christopher Watrd the 12. So the 12 is Christopher Watrd is an interesting brand to start with. It's a British brand, or English brand if you like. And who they really are, they're a micro brand. They call them like sort of they've outgrown their micro brand positioning, but I think they still are. I wish they said or made them in England or in London, because they say they're made in Switzerland, but this really is more of an Asian watch, right? Majority of its components are made in Asia, make no mistake, right? And then they're assembled in Switzerland, which really in my books, it doesn't make it a Swiss watch. Like I don't necessarily require it to say Swiss, right? I'd much rather it say English or made in Britain. This particular watch is in titanium, so you get your COSC certificate. It's a so they did measure it in all the positions, should be -4 to +6 seconds. We do have individual measurements there, which are quite good in different positions. It's very good, very good. And the date on which they actually assessed the movement. I believe they do it uncased, so this is literally just for the movement, and then they case it in the watch. So we'll see how it performs. So the reasons behind getting a Christopher Watrd in titanium were to get it in titanium and to get a COSC certified version of it. But it comes with a major drawback, and this is really why I'm making this video, is to get you to pay attention to what are the drawbacks of getting a Christopher Watrd the 12 in titanium for the money that it costs. I never opened this before. Excuse me, it's not very okay. We don't need the knife anymore. Oh, okay, there we go. That's a nice box. I quite like it. It's not too big. I do keep my boxes. So if you wondered, sort of what my attitude was towards watch boxes, like, do I want a box? Yes, I do want a box. Do I do anything with boxes? No, I don't do anything with my watch boxes of other boxes. They just go in the loft and they just sit there. But it's nice to have it because I do sometimes sell stuff and it just goes in the original box, and you know, it's just the way it is. So let's have a look. The 12 in purple. And now that is, all right, the most beautiful and the weirdest part about this watch. So when I was choosing my watch, you know, I was at the stage where I was looking at Girard-Perregaux Laureato, for instance, is something that I would much rather get if I had the free cash lying around. So I went to the Watches of Switzerland and I've put it on my wrist. The Laureato is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful watch. But for 12,000, I was like, you know what? Like, do I actually need a watch for 12,000? And the answer is no, I don't. And that's what sort of immediately propelled me towards Christopher Watrd, because at least on the pictures, it was a similar looking watch, and I just didn't need to spend all that money. However, the problem with Christopher Watrd is that it doesn't come in many colors in titanium. And it's an absolute bummer to me, because the 12 comes with glacier blue, or whatever, the ice dial, which is very nice, but only in steel. And it comes with a dark dial, like dark gray, sort of blackish dial, again only in steel. Come on, focus. Yeah. But I wanted titanium, and I wanted the SW300 movement. It is incredibly light. I'll tell you straight away, it is incredibly light. It almost feels like you're just holding a band of titanium. It's as if it was all just a bracelet. This is how light it is. My God, the end lugs, the end links, they really protrude. You can see that. You can really see that. Right. Yeah, and sort of going back to choosing the dial, like again, where I am on the timeline of life, I start appreciating more sort of discreet, more calm designs. I am okay with, you know, all black dial. I don't need it to be this fading purple. But these were the options. You can either get like a really bright blue, fading blue, or this purple. And what I liked about the purple, what I disliked less about the purple dial, that there was seemingly more black to it than the blue dial. But as we can see now, it's still really purple, and it doesn't quite fade to black completely towards the end of it. But we'll get back to it. So it's incredibly light. It's phenomenally thin. It's like 9.5 mil thick. Very thin. Compared to the Revu, it is much thinner than the Revu. No, you can't see that. Well, I wouldn't say it's much thinner, but it is visibly thinner than the Revu. Not that the Revu is a thick watch, but it's much thinner. Integrated bracelet, which is kind of, I would say it's got these reverse lugs rather than... Okay, you know, it is what it is. It's an integrated bracelet. Yes, it is an integrated bracelet. You've got quick release. It's like a pinch style quick release bracelet attachment on it. So you squeeze these two pins together, and it should release the bracelet. Let's try that. Whoa, that was quick. All right, now if you buy, I think you can get a rubber band to come with it, which I didn't see the purpose for in an integrated sports watch, but you can have it if you want. The tolerances are really good. I'm an engineer by one of my degrees, and I can tell you that it is engineered really well. Like, the tolerances here are very good. The polishing on the bracelet is excellent. What I wanted in my watch, so what I don't like on new Rolexes, for instance, is that they all have these polished center links, apart from maybe what doesn't, the Explorer, right? But the Explorer doesn't have the date, and I do appreciate having a date on my watch. I'd actually get the Explorer if it had the date. Everything else is polished center links, which just doesn't make sense to me. This is beautiful. So the edges are all polished. Everything else is satin finished, so brushed. Very good. Butterfly clasp, which is very, very nice. It's nothing special, just a good clasp. Oh no, let's put it on the wrist, shall we? Oh, you can't feel it. You literally cannot feel it. It is so light. So if you want a watch you don't know you're wearing, the 12 is for you. The 12 in titanium, oh my god, it is so light. Why am I saying it's a phenomenal light watch? Because what I didn't tell you is that I did own another watch after my Bravery Thumb-In. And that is the Citizen Series 8. Now that is an excellent value for money. The issue is you've got to like bulky watches, and you've got to like the Citizen. Now, this Citizen is the reason why I got it is because it does look like an integrated bracelet watch. You can see that it's got this sort of stealth lugs or stealth first link, which does make it look very much like your integrated bracelet sports watch. And to me, you know what? Like, now that I'm looking at it right now, can you really tell the difference? No, I can't. So it is basically, it does the job of turning a regular shape into an integrated sports watch. Now, there's no point wearing this type of watch on a strap. It's edgy, and it is beautiful in its edginess. Like, look at that. Remember I mentioned to you the Mercedes G-Wagon? This is the beauty of edges. Absolute beauty of edges. So I wore this watch for a few months. Now, I don't know why I didn't quite click with it. I guess there's something that goes with Japanese designs. It's a very sterile watch. And I guess I'm biased because I'm coming from a pilot's watch, and after a pilot's watch, you know, these sort of stick hour markers are incredibly sterile. And then again, says someone who just got a Christopher Watrd the 12, which is, you know, more or less the same. But this Citizen, it is something else. So at 500, I think it was 500 euro, 600 euro, it has a brand new Miyota movement. I don't remember which one, but this watch was regulated, and it's sub-second accurate a day. Not just sub-second, it's a quarter of a second fast in one of the positions. And so it's so accurate that I cannot even tell if it's late or fast. It's once every few weeks I forget to wear it, where I go surfing or just spend too much time in the sea, and then it stops, and it has 55-hour reserve, right? So when it finally stops, then I, you know, change time, wind it up, and I never really see it either slow or fast. It's incredible. It's an incredible movement. It is a fantastic watch. For the money, I don't know what else you could get for this kind of money, this kind of accuracy. Now on paper, it is like -20 to +25 seconds or something like that. But in reality, you can take it to a service and they will regulate it, and it is absolutely precise. It's amazingly accurate. And it's been like so for many, many months now. So it's not like I just took it to the shops and I was like, oh, you know, it's day 2 and it's, you know, it's sub-second accurate per day. It is a phenomenal watch. So it's a push-down crown, so there's no, you can just wind it up, which I absolutely love, you know, for someone who sometimes wears another watch and I just need to, you know, pay some attention to my Citizen and wind it up, and that's all. It's a great watch. The only downside, I would say, it's a little bit heavy. So it does feel top heavy. There's no micro adjustment on the clasp. The clasp itself is a very typical sort of Japanese clasp, which, you know, people bitch about a lot because it's like a pressed metal clasp. So this is, I think that's cast, or what you call it. So this is the heavy bit, this beautiful, but the top of it is pressed. And people don't like it, but actually do, because it makes it so much lighter. Like, look, there's almost no width that it adds to the width of the bracelet. And speaking of the bracelet, this is a proper tool bracelet, if you like. There's a lot of brushed finish on it. There's barely any polish, I guess, just on the edges. Attached via sleeve pins, which is fine. To me, of course, it's nice to have screws. Everyone puts screws in these days, but it's not an expensive watch, and I'm very happy that the Japanese chose to put effort and resources into other things on this watch. Now, the edges is what you pay the money for. Beautifully polished, just like sort of such a masculine feel without the bezel. Because everyone thinks that like a masculine watch needs to have this like thick bezel, like the sub or whatever. And I never liked bezels. Like I actually, in my books, the thinner the bezel, the better. And that's why I like the pointer date on this. Because then it's like literally have no bezel, and that's how I want things. So this Citizen, but I did find, I guess it's just a heavy watch. It is so heavy because obviously you can see how much metal there is in it. And I was like, okay, look, I'll give a titanium watch a chance. So getting that Christopher Watrd, I can now tell you that it absolutely is. I mean, it is like it is a fraction of weight of the Citizen, and I could certainly see myself wear this. But let's get to the elephant in the room again, and that is the color of the dial. Like I said, I need a one watch. Not that I don't actually want to own or wear any other watches, but what I was looking for is a watch which I could wear everywhere. And this watch is closer to G-Shock, unfortunately, than it is to anything wearable in the office or into meetings. And for a weekend watch, like, it's an expensive watch. So for something which is purely there to go out in, or like spend time out in nature and go surfing and swimming, yes, you could do that all in this watch. But like, are you spending 1,600 British pounds to 2,000 US on a mechanical watch which you cannot wear? You cannot wear to like a meeting, or maybe a cocktail party is fine, but even then, like, cocktails party really is I'm not sure I'll wear this to a cocktail party. It's too sporty. Yes, it's a sports watch. It's an integrated bracelet sports watch. But then again, it didn't need to have this sort of gradient fade purple or blue dials. Let's get it to focus again. And it does disappoint me quite a lot. I love the frame. I absolutely love the frame. Look at this. It's proper titanium. There's like grey hue to it. It's gonna get scratched. Titanium scratches really easily. So make no mistake. But that was the point, right? You get this one watch which you can wear. You can fix your car in this watch. You can take it to a surfing trip, but also you can wear it to work. Like, maybe not with a business suit, but you could. And you could wear this watch to work if not for the purple dial, which is a huge disappointment in my books. And the fade is not as complete as it seems from the pictures. You can see that the ring, sort of the railway line, the seconds or the minutes markings around the dial is a black ring. It's separate from the dial itself. Now the dial is inserted with the markers. It's inserted inside that. It doesn't fade completely to black, or no, it doesn't. So you can still see the edge. Yeah, you can still see the edge where it merges with a black outside ring. I from pictures, I thought there'd be a lot less purple in the middle and a lot more black stuff around. Because in all my honesty, for a watch like this, I think it just needs like a dark gray or black dial, and then it can be an excellent watch. The markers look a lot better than they do in pictures. Like they look a bit scruffy in the pictures, like very, very brushed, very satinated. They look beautiful here. There's like plenty of shine. They've got polished edges. They've got sort of satin front fascia. The seconds hand could do with, like, again, if you make a purple dial, make a purple tip or a form of tip, like maybe white tip for the seconds hand. What we have here is just sort of polished, just sort of metal polished seconds hand, which is very Seiko style. So again, like the seconds hand is incredibly business, and so are the hands. You know, there's no fancy design on the hands. They're all incredibly strict, as we could say. Let's try and wind it up. Okay, screw down crown, very tight, and okay, pops out very nicely, very nice feel to it. Okay, I can barely feel it winding up. Okay, it's got 56 hours of power reserve. It's a 4 Hz watch, so your standard Swiss 4 Hz. 56 hours power reserve is good, not as good as 70. So 70 would give you a proper weekend. But in fact, you know, this is the opposite. This is the weekend watch, so there's no way it's going to last you a week. So probably you wouldn't care. Oops. Nice clicks, very loud clicks. Date, no, date, yeah, date. Time. So what's the time? It's a good watch. It's a good watch, but the problem is that it costs 2,000 US. 2,000 US. And if you think about it, you can now get a, what's it called? There are other options, right? I don't know if they're as well made, but something like a Certina DS7, the new integrated sports watch, you can get it in titanium for 1,000 US. So it's half the price of this, half. And maybe it won't be as thin. It will have a Powermatic 80, which is, you know, a non-serviceable movement from the Swatch Group. You're saving 1,000 quid, and it's got a 10 years life. You know, will you be servicing this watch in 10 years? No. You'll chuck it in the drawer at best. And get yourself another watch. Like, this is an expensive watch, and it has a huge problem. And the problem is, if you are in the beginning of your journey and you don't have money for a luxury piece like a Rolex, then this watch is quite expensive. And what you get is definitely no luxury, right? It is a fairly utilitarian watch, and I think it will fit someone young, right? It will definitely fit someone young and active, and someone who doesn't require to own a serious looking watch, but it costs a lot of money. So someone young will go and buy a Certina. There's nothing wrong wearing a Certina in your early 20s. That's fine, right? You can wear a PRX. There's nothing wrong with it in your early 20s. But as you go further towards your more mature years, this is just not the watch that you can easily wear. You can afford wearing this dial if it comes on a on a much more expensive watch, because then you'd be telling people around you, look, I just like this kind of dial, I like colors, I can afford it. But on a Christopher Watrd, I feel like it's just not something that should have got. They should have left a conservative option in titanium, and it would fit them so well. I mean, this is literally the Chapek Antarctique, this one. it's very, very similar looking to Girard-Perregaux Laureato, which I loved, which I absolutely loved. You know, needless to say that the Laureato is 12,000 US more expensive than this. 12,000 US more expensive than this. But with the Laureato, you can actually get that one watch. You know, I feel like with the Laureato, you have no excuse. You don't need an excuse to say, oh, look, this is why I got this watch. No, you can wear it to work, to a cocktail party. You can go surfing with it. And guess what? It's got a black dial, very conservative markings. That's it. This one is closer to a G-Shock than it is to a mechanical watch. And it's all because of this fading dial, this gradient purple dial. And if I got the blue one, it would be even worse, because the blue dial is so bright, it's like, for God's sake, it's just like a bright blue in-your-face dial. Is it a great watch? Yeah, it's a good watch, but it's an expensive watch as well. And it's something to bear in mind. Like, it's a really expensive watch. It's a fairly good watch. Thin, light, titanium. But now you've seen it, and this is my view on it. It's someone who bought the watch for himself, and you know what? Like, my worries about the dial have only grown as I took this watch in my hands, unfortunately, because 2,000 US for this is a lot of money. It is not an established brand. We are hovering very close to a Tudor, and you know what? There's nothing wrong getting a Tudor. Tudor watch is, you know, is a no-brainer, and Christopher Watrd are stepping into that territory where, you know, you can go and get a no-frills watch, which is beautiful, it's well designed, it's been around forever, and it's just more serious looking than this, which makes it less of an all-rounder watch. On this note, I hope you enjoy your watch journey. You know, pick carefully. Enjoy a Christopher Watrd. They make beautiful watches. They're a great brand. I would totally recommend looking into them. I certainly enjoyed handling this watch. And now I guess I need to try and enjoy wearing it and make sure, see if I can make do with this purple dial. You have a good time. But we cannot finish this video on the Christopher Watrd the 12 just yet. Now, everything I just said, I swear by. I mean, I opened the box and I knew I won't like the purple dial, and I still don't. And the only two options that you get on the 12, I think, are the terrible options. Like, I cannot think of, like, who did they make the watch for is beyond me. Because if you want a purple dial, you're probably not going to buy the more expensive Watrd. You're not spending $2,000 US on a purple dial if you're in your like early 20s, whatever. You like the color. Now, you move up the ladder a bit and you want something that is business, especially for the money, right? I mean, this watch is a fifth of the price of the Watrd, and I still think it's a much greater value. Much, much, much greater value. The only problem, you can't buy a railway thumb anymore. Not a new watch, at least. But Christopher Watrd has got more competition that meets the eye. Enter Citizen Series 8, the base model. Now, it runs a standard Miyota, same power reserve, more or less same movement, 55 hours power reserve, 56 for the SW300. The Citizen is accurate to something like minus 15 to 25 seconds a day. However, this watch has been regulated to run 0, and I really mean 0. It's an amazing, amazing watch. There we go. So with the Miyota, it is capable of chronometer grade, absolutely capable, and it's been running true to near 0. It's like a quarter of a second a day off. It's been running like that for months now, so I can absolutely say that if you buy a Series 8, go and get it regulated, you'll have no problems at all. And by the way, out of the box, it does come like, it was insanely off. It was like, I don't want to rain on Citizen, so I'm not going to say the number, but the number was literally a hair within the specification. Now this watch is awesome. It's a heavy watch, stainless steel, but look at the shape. It's so brutal, and it's brutal without the bezel, and that's what I liked about it. So there is competition in the integrated bracelet world. However, and you look at it, and sort of going back to the dial situation. So you pay 2,000 US for this, 1,000 US for the Citizen. The Citizen looks a lot more officey, right? It's also a lot more cocktail. I mean, you probably cannot tell from here. It's not a great camera, but the indices are just polished to perfection. They've got this beautiful, absolutely beautiful bead blasted finish, or sort of brush finish in the middle of each index, and the lume is all around. There's these tiny little blocks of lume around the indices. It's got great lume. The lume is no worse than Superluminova that you get on the Ward. It's a great watch, and I don't know, if I were to go and spend my money today, I mean, these watches were acquired sort of sequentially, right? So I went for the Citizen first, the Ward wasn't there, it wasn't even announced yet. This watch is December 2022. I got it almost as soon as it became available. I wanted the blue dial as well. And actually, I didn't quite like the blue dial. The blue dial is I'm a black dial guy. It's the black dial is just so much versatile, and it looks business. Like maybe this watch has completely skewed my taste, but black dials are absolutely rock. And so do silver dials. And going back to Christopher Watrd, if you get it in steel, you get a wealth of choice. You get your white dial, gray dial, my God, there's all these solid color options which are much better than the purple. Now, the other sort of demographic group that I can think of who would go for a purple dial are people with, let's start from afar. I remember choosing an audio system for home, so like a proper hi-fi. And I look at designs and sort of like Harman Kardon and Bang & Olufsen, all these like curved shapes, which I'm like, this is ugly, right? Who wants a speaker with like a bowl on top of it and the tweeter sort of sticking out of that bowl in the very middle of it? It's like, it looks horrendous. You know, why would anyone go for anything but a square block speaker? And that was true until I signed a contract and I did some piece of work for a company which provided design solutions for very wealthy households. And that's in those designs that I saw why we see these top-end speaker systems having these sort of weird curved shapes, sort of semicircles, all these like, I can't even explain it, all these curved surfaces. It all falls in place when you look at like sort of top-end Bentley cars or expensive interiors, because up there it's a completely different design style. And so purple with colors is the same. So up there you have affinity for less standard colors, like the sort of gradient dials and the sort of texturized surface of the dials and that kind of stuff. But if you are there, then you're definitely not buying a Christopher Watrd, right? You are not buying Christopher Watrd. You're buying a Holy Trinity watch. And you're going to get your complex. You're not going to get your purple dial there, but I can imagine that it would definitely fly on a Patek of some description. But in sort of like middle class territory, I just cannot see purple dial go. I can't see it go. I don't understand why Christopher Watrd went for it. It just doesn't fit my life, either sort of at work or what I do, my hobbies. Like I cannot imagine going surfing, rocking a purple dial. It's nothing else that I wear is relevant to the purple color. Nothing in my car is purple. Nothing in my wardrobe is purple. And neither is it blue, because the only other color option you get in titanium case is blue, which is even worse because it's just a cheap looking blue. Just a bloody cheap looking blue. And why Christopher Watrd did that, I do not know. But the best thing about Watrd, and why you can still probably buy it, is just how light it is. It's a titanium watch, and kind of brings us to the point why I got it. Like, look at that. Look at that. It is a 9mm thick titanium watch, and it's a oh my god. I cannot, I mean, the Citizen is a heavy watch, but like, I cannot, the difference is like twice between these, and you can feel it on the wrist. You can literally, the Christopher Watrd the 12 disappears on your wrist. And I really wanted an engineer, or I mean, I believe they do have a titanium option, but I didn't even look at it because I didn't want to see the pricing. For Girard Perregaux Laureato, we are talking about 10 times the price, 6 times for IWC Engineer, which is in titanium. And you get a titanium watch, and it's going to get scratched up so quickly. I mean, titanium is incredibly non-scratch resistant. So you get that, like, even with steel. You look at the Citizen, and after a few months, it's all scratched up. But the titanium, and you'll see it if you look at Christopher Watrd reviews online, there's that review watch that's being shipped all over the world for people to brag about their Christopher Watrd, which is another thing. Like, when this watch went out, and I know that Christopher Watrd is an online-only company, but the money they didn't invest in stores, they invested in online. And oh my god, people were like absolutely bragging about this watch, and you go like, I think there could be some transactional interest involved in this, because really up to this day I cannot find a single video where someone would genuinely criticize the Watrd, and it's got plenty to be criticized for. It is just a watch, and as any watch, it's got loads of shortfalls, right? It's a very expensive watch for what it is. That's what I want you to understand, is that the only reason why I got this is because I wanted to try a titanium, in particular, titanium integrated bracelet sports watch. And I thought, okay, 2000 is not a big price to pay for it. I'm going to try it, and once and for all decide for myself if I like titanium watches or if I want the feeling of heft on my wrist. And they do say that people are divided into these two camps. So it's like, okay, I'll pay 2000 to experience it. But now you have the Certina DS7 in titanium, which is 1,000 US. And yes, it's got the Powermatic 80 in it, and I don't like the Powermatic 80. It's not the kind of movement that I mean, you might just well get a quartz in my books than the Powermatic 80. But it's there, and the Powermatic 80 is a slim movement. I'm sure if you want to experience a titanium integrated bracelet sports watch, you go for a Certina. And then again, the Certina in titanium only comes with the blue dials. So it's very similar to the Citizen. So man, you better like blue dials if you go for the Certina. However, again, it's half the price of the Watrd. Now, I don't know how much the Selite SW300 is worth or costs you to buy. But I have a feeling that Christopher Watrd run very, very healthy margins on this. Like, in those reviews online, they keep talking about its amazing design and the what's the shape called? Hexaoctadecagon, whatever. You got the 12 sides to this. It's nice polish, but it's just a nice polish, and it's a CNC polish. It's not, there's no manual labor that's going into this watch apart from putting it back together in Switzerland. It's literally made in Asia. The bracelet, the case itself is made in Asia, I'm pretty sure. And then it just gets bolted together in Switzerland. The movement is obviously Swiss, with all its parts, probably coming from Asia. So this is how you get your Swiss watch. There's no heritage behind it. And Christopher Watrd claiming to be a Swiss-made watch. I mean, come on, guys, like, say made in England. Now, I'm biased because I live in England, and but if I were Swiss, would I consider this watch to be Swiss? Absolutely not. There's no way this can have a Geneva seal on it. If I'm from outside the UK, do I really care for this? Maybe because they target international markets. Let me lock this. Maybe because they target international markets, they wanted to sell better as a Swiss watch. I understand that. But to me, I would rather see it say made in England. Because it was designed in England, the whole company is here. The ideas are definitely English. And English people can make amazing designs. England is home to one of the most beautiful industrial designs that I've ever seen. One of the examples could be, the entire design theme on the Underground, London Underground, or Brompton bicycle, which I'm a big fan of, and I own 3 Bromptons actually, including 2 of them with titanium parts. So I'm a big fan of titanium. Titanium is a great material. I know that it doesn't fare well against scratching as a watch. So all these like beautiful polished parts, oh my God, man, give it a year. This will look terrible, I think. Because even the Citizen, all these sort of polished surfaces, Zaratsu polishing, it's all gone. And I'm fairly light and super, super careful, especially with this watch. I was super careful wearing it, but even like buttons on a jacket, they start eating into this polished bezel here. So it's, things age and wear, and that's okay. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. But the price difference again, 1,000, 2,000. Okay, Certina DS7, 1,000, 2,000. What exactly are you paying for? Now, yes, there's detail here and there, but you know what? Like, you take a Girard-Perregaux Laureate in your hands, there you see like a different level of quality. It's every single bevel, every single corner, like, look at this. Yeah, just something about it. It is just a watch, right? It is just a watch. And the question is, are we living in the world where 2,000 US buy you just a watch? And we probably are. So maybe inflation has eaten into us so much by this stage where 2,000 US buys you just a watch. So let's look at this movement. It's all right. I mean, I never actually owned a watch where you could see movement. There you go. Are we focused? Are we focused? I hope we are. Excuse me if we're not. I can't be asked. Look, it's content versus picture quality here, unfortunately. I like this. You can hear it tick. This Citizen is like a tank. You cannot hear it tick. Makes no sound. Here the rotor is super loud. It like makes growling noises as it goes around. It ticks throughout the night. You can hear it. But that's what I want about my watch. That's why I buy an automatic watch, because I want to hear it go. It's not a quartz. I have amazing G-Shocks if I wanted a quartz. So everything's here, and it's quite alright, right? It's got this. I feel like I like the back of the watch a lot more because, yeah, I gravitate towards sort of more utilitarian style watches. I do like pilot's watches, but to me they're also like kind of a tool watch. I feel like a pilot's watch is closer to being a tool watch than anything else. This is definitely a tool watch at the back, and I got it because it's got this brushed finished to its bracelet everywhere, front and back. It's very nice. And then, yeah, I think they did the right thing doing this sort of polished edge here, which is nice, very nice. The front of the 12 tetra hex whatever, it's very nice, right? Don't get me wrong, but the purple color, I'm not sure. And actually, in fact, I think the indices, sort of the swordy indices, which almost like reflected hands, they're like backward pointing hands. I'm not sure. I mean, it's a lot of criticism for a watch, and I respect Christopher Watrd as a brand. They make amazing watches. I love the Dune. It's a great watch. I'm not going to buy it. But this watch also costs a lot of money, right? The 12 is expensive, and therefore it should be criticized as an expensive watch. And this is something that you should probably know, right? It's just a watch, and you're paying 2,000 for it. There we go. Okay, quick replacement works quick. That's good. But you put it on your wrist and it disappears. Look at that. It is so light. It feels like you're wearing this aluminium feeling like bracelet. It's very quick to get to the temperature of your hand. Unlike the Citizen, for instance, which takes forever, and if it's cold outside, then it will always be this drain of heat on your wrist, which I actually can't think of being good. This is great. It's so slim. It's much slimmer. It is literally like you're wearing a bracelet. But it's $2,000. And the question is, should you not buy the Watrd and save your money and just get a Rolex? And that is the question, because 2,000 US is 20% of the price of a Rolex Submariner. 20% of the price of the Rolex Submariner. These two watches means I spent 30% of the price of the Rolex Submariner. No, I didn't buy the Rolex Submariner because it was expensive, but I somehow managed to bleed 3,000 US on the two watches, which are, it's just, we're not even comparing that to the Sub. There's the social status, and let's be frank to each other, to ourselves, that the watch is a social status symbol as much as it is a tool for yourself and something that you just enjoy watching. It's like a handbag or whatever. It is absolutely a status symbol. There's no way getting around it. And in front of you is a third of a Rolex Sub, and the question is, maybe you should wait and get the watch that you actually want. Would you wait? Would you not buy these and rock a Casio for a year so that you can register for a Sub and get your Rolex Submariner instead of everything you see here? The answer should probably be yes. On this note, we're going to finish for today. Absolutely buy the Christopher Watrd if you want to experience a titanium integrated bracelet sports watch for relatively cheap. Also look at the Certina DS7 if you can, live with a sort of solid color blue dial, which the Certina comes in with, and the Powermatic 80. But this watch is good. It's super accurate. It's sort of within 1 second a day, so it's definitely chronometer grade. So no surprises there. All good. So I'm getting everything I paid for here. But then again, somehow we find ourselves in a situation where by saving money we actually spend more money, because these watches, they have no resale value. And if instead I had a Rolex Submariner here, even with a 7,000 loan, I would probably be making money on it, or at least not losing money in the same way that I'm losing money on every single one of these watches. That's literally money thrown away. At which point, let me wish you a good day. Thanks for watching, and I hope it will help you make your choice in regards to Christopher Watrd the 12. Thank you.